Earlier in the year was a little bit of a stranger time because, Microsoft was going through a lot of shifts, and clearly they will continue to shift to do whatever is going to, make them the most money, or whatever is going to be best for their pocketbook, for their investors and things like that. They're not really going to be that company that seems to care for the gamers the way that they used to. They probably didn't really care before either, but at least they kind of gave off this illusion that they sort of cared about, gaming and gamers and things like that. And now it's like pretty clear that they don't. But even with that being said, we kind of live in this weird kind of strange world now with gaming, where things are changing faster than ever. And I guess it's really up to us to kind of catch up to it or not. Some of us probably won't like the ideas that are coming out, and the plans from Xbox and even PlayStation. And so, many of us are going to have like tougher decisions to make. Some people ask me, well, are you going to get the next Xbox? Are you going to listen? I don't know what I'm going to do. I would assume that the current Xbox that I have is going to last me a while. I can't really see them just giving up on that anytime soon. So, I have that, and, we'll just take it and see what happens. I know I can't really afford $1,000 Xbox or $1,000 PS6 or whatever the case may be. But anyway, this is at least some good news for the year. I know Microsoft has had a fair share of ups and downs. But hopefully you guys agree that this is something good. Let's get into it. Hey, I'm Crab Gamer. This is Crab Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you guys for checking it out. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that. I do daily gaming content, so if you guys are interested in that, hey, let me know. And that would be awesome to see. Kind of cool to see from you guys. Now, again, we are sort of living in a weird sort of world, and I try to do like the fun and informative daily content. And I did a video about this earlier in the year, where it looked like Xbox Design Lab was like shut down. Well, and it had been a long time, and here we are 8 months later, and it looks like it's finally returning. See, the reason why it made things look even worse is because you have this thing where people are designing these things, and it's very popular. People like to design their own kind of deals or whatever. And when you see that kind of close down, you just realize that Microsoft really wasn't really in it in terms of the hardware, and that's a sad kind of thing. And you sort of just start adding all these things up. It's like, okay, well, we have Design Lab closed down. We have Microsoft raising the prices of their platform. They're pulling out of places with their platform. They don't really seem to care, and so that can be devastating if you're a fan. But it looks like it's officially returning. It's back. Microsoft announced today that Xbox Design Lab, the service that lets you create and customize your own Xbox controllers, has officially returned after spending the entirety of 2025 up until now being temporarily on hold. No reason has been provided as for why it was offline all this time, but it's said to have returned with more ways than ever to create your perfect combo, and they have a new trailer and all that kind of stuff, which I'll link this article in the description. You guys can check it out, and it has like the new trailer and stuff like that. I think it's really cool that they bring this back. It's like something that a lot of people like to use and kind of utilize. It's kind of weird that it spent almost an entire year offline. That is kind of strange, but the trailer also teases that both the Doom and Witcher 3 Xbox controllers will be returning as part of the Design Lab later this year. Presumably, they'll only be customizable to a certain extent. But yeah, let's just be real. Controllers have been a big part of Xbox. No matter what you quote-unquote consider an Xbox, it's just one of those things that does sort of have that appeal to people, like they can play it if they want to play on a PC or a console or even cloud and stuff like that. So, that's something that's really good. Nice to see that kind of come back. It means there's life ahead for the Design Lab, with some speculating over the past few months that it might have been getting closed down due to lack of updates. Like I said, you can design stuff now and go back and do that. So, I think that's really cool that they're able to kind of put that out there and make sure that people have, something out there cool to kind of play and enjoy. And that, like I said, that's something that I look at and say, hey, that's really, really cool. And, that's something that Microsoft can do a better job of. They really really have to do something impressive to get people like on board and to make people like excited about like the future of the brand and stuff like that. So I feel like they are sort of doing that finally. We're getting some excitement over the future of the brand, and people are in general happy about what's going on once again in the kind of Xbox gaming sphere, and that's, I think, pretty incredible to see, because we were at a point, previously where we weren't seeing stuff like that, and that's really unfortunate. Like at the end of the day, no matter what, as long as you have a platform, you have to be able to kind of attract people to it, and that's exactly what I think Microsoft probably is realizing, is like, you have to have some kind of hardware, you have to have things that get people excited, you have to have those things that people really want, to something that is exciting. So seeing that the ability to do that stuff really is cool. Like I said, there's always going to be some negative stuff going on in the Xbox kind of stratosphere or whatever, but it is nice to also see that Microsoft is kind of doing things to return people to the platform, and at least like I said, I think that's something that like a lot of people agreed on, even if you weren't like the biggest Xbox fan. You definitely wanted to do something to keep Xbox relevant, to keep people talking about it, to keep people kind of moving on with it and things like that. So again, really nice to see that kind of come out. I know there's a lot of questions about Xbox and their hardware and all that kind of stuff in the future, and to be honest with you, I have no clue what the future is going to bring for that kind of stuff. But what I do know is that if you are going to be offering the hardware and stuff, you have to do things that people are going to want, and that's something that you can't really take away from there. So at the end of the day, Microsoft doing the right thing here, and I just feel like Microsoft is really kind of doing some cool things that make people excited about the platform again, and that's one of those things. It's like when you look at it and you just go, okay, well, what's some of the things that attracted you to Xbox in the first place? It's like pretty clear that the ability to kind of design your own controllers and things like that is a huge deal. And if you just look at like what Microsoft was doing and what they weren't doing, they were always selling and pushing some type of controller, even when Xbox consoles themselves weren't doing great. So nice to see that things are maybe kind of going a little bit in a proper direction again. Like, who knows what Microsoft is going to offer in terms of a platform in the future, but at least for right now, it looks like they are kind of returning to their roots a bit with like the design lab and the ability to kind of do these things that that realistically make the platform that much better. Like that, to me anyway, is something that they're going to have to continue to do. And at the end of the day, hey, good on Microsoft for making it right. I wish we would have got some kind of explanation as to why these things were happening in the first place. Maybe Microsoft considered shutting it down. Maybe it was expensive to run. I don't really know. But at the end of the day, they're able to do something that that maybe can get people back excited again. So that's my main takeaway from this. It is nice seeing people talk about it and get excited about this stuff yet again. At the end of the day, I think that's the important part, and something that everybody is going to continue to be amped up about. So again, I will link this in the description. You guys can check it out. Have you guys ever built anything with the Design Lab? I always thought it'd be cool to let people design their consoles. It's like in this day and age, if people are willing to foot the cost for that, why not let them do that? Let them do the custom consoles. Let them do the custom, hand controllers, whatever they want. I think that makes a lot of sense from a perspective as a buyer. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. I certainly do appreciate it. If you guys like the content, please share it out and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, crap gamer 'em up. We'll catch you next time. Crap gamer out.